You ever wonder how a token actually moves from one blockchain to another? I mean, not just the slick front end, but what's happening deep down in the code? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers on a really key piece of Web3 infrastructure that makes it all happen, Axelar's Interchain Token Service. And we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to look right at the source code that powers the whole thing. So here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage with the big problem that's been holding blockchains back. Then we'll introduce the solution, the Interchain Token Service. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of how tokens get ready to travel, follow one on its cross-chain journey, and finally, we'll zoom out to see why this is such a huge deal for the future of Web3. All right, so before we can really appreciate the solution, we've got to understand the problem. And for the longest time, the world of blockchains has looked kind of like a scattered set of islands.
And why is that? Well, think about it. Each blockchain, Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, you name it, is basically its own digital country. It has its own currency, its own laws, its own apps. And the thing is, by default, they just don't speak the same language. They can't talk to each other.
In this slide, this really lays it all out. On one side, you have Chain A, let's say it's Ethereum, with all its tokens and its apps. On the other, you've got Chain B, maybe Polygon. Any token on Ethereum is basically stuck there. It can't just hop over to Polygon. This creates these fragmented pools of money, these clunky user experiences. It's the digital island problem in a nutshell. So you've got all these islands. How do you build the bridges? You need a standardized, super secure way to send things between them. And this is exactly where Axelar's Interchain Token Service, or ITS, comes into the story. Now check this out. This quote is pulled directly from a comment in the actual ITS source code, and it tells us something absolutely crucial. The ITS isn't some giant bank vault holding everyone's money. It's more like a post office. It's all about the messaging and coordination. That's a huge deal for understanding how it's designed and why it's secure. So yeah, the best way to get your head around this is to think of it like a universal postal service. The Interchain Token Service gives you the standardized box and the shipping label. Then it hands that package over to the Axelar Gateway, which is like the global FedEx or UPS network, to get that message securely to its final destination. And under the hood, the ITS has a few key tools in its toolbox. It has a direct line to that shipping network, the gateway. It has its own gas card to pay for transaction fees on other chains, which is awesome for the user. And it has the blueprints to create and manage tokens on totally new chains. These are the building blocks that make it all tick.
Okay, moving on. A token can't just up and leave, right? It needs a sort of interchain passport to get around. And the ITS gives projects two different ways to get one, depending on if the token is brand new or if it's been around for a while.
So if you're a developer launching a brand new project, you can use one function to create a token that is literally born interchain native. But what about all the existing tokens? The big stablecoins or governance tokens? Well, for those, there's another path. You can simply register or link that existing token to the service. Bam, it gets its passport and it's ready to go. All right, the token's got its passport. Now for the main event. Let's actually follow a token on its journey, step by step, as it moves from one chain to another. The whole thing kicks off with a single function call. It's called interchain transfer. This is what a user or an app would trigger, and it just needs to know three things: which token, where it's going, and how much. And here's the whole trip mapped out. Step 1, the user kicks it off. Instantly, the service on the starting chain either locks up those tokens or burns them, taking them out of circulation. Then, and this is the magic, it wraps up all the transfer details into a secure message and sends it out. Once that message arrives on the other side and gets validated, only then does the service mint or unlock the exact same amount of tokens for the user. It's a lock and mint system, perfectly coordinated by these messages. So let's talk about that message. It's really the heart of the whole operation. You can think of it like a super secure digital packing slip. It's got everything the other side needs to know: a unique ID for the token, the address it's going to, and of course the exact amount. It's all in there. So what happens when the package arrives? Well, it doesn't just get opened. A function called execute gets triggered, and its first job is to act like a customs agent. It checks with the Axelar Gateway to make sure the message is legit and nobody's messed with it. Only after that security check, after that validation, are the new tokens released. Okay, so we've been deep in the weeds on the how. It's fascinating stuff, but let's pull back and talk about the why. Why go through all this trouble? What does this actually mean for all of us, for users and developers? Well, it's a direct solution to that digital island problem. No more scattered pools of money. It unifies liquidity. And this next one is so important. It preserves fungibility. Your token is the same token everywhere. It's not some weird wrapped IOU that's different on every chain. That is a game changer for dApps and for you, the user. It just means a way simpler experience. No more complicated bridging. It just works. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. For years, the internet has let information flow freely across any border, any system. It's incredible. What technologies like the Interchain Token Service are doing is bringing that same freedom to digital value. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What new apps, what new economies, what new possibilities open up when our value can finally move as freely and as easily as our information?